So the NFL draft is finally upon us. The first night of the draft happened last night, and the Atlanta Falcons drafted Drake London out of USC. I looked at social media, I looked at Instagram, and it seemed like there were a lot of people who were not happy with this pick. And I can understand why. A lot of people were saying Falcons should have gotten Kyle Hamilton. Some people were saying Jermaine Johnson. Me personally, I would have wanted them to get a pass rusher. If they weren't going to get a pass rusher, find the next best thing, which is an offensive lineman. Because I think that Arthur Smith is going to implement a run first, pass second type of offense. But maybe that's not the case. Maybe he's going to try and utilize the passing game and then implement the running game. This team is still pretty flawed in so many areas. It's kind of hard to completely hate the pick because they do need a receiver. Calvin Ridley, we know how that went down in the offseason. Kyle Pitts, I would say that he's going to be the number one target for Atlanta, even though he's a tight end, but I think he's going to be the number one. So maybe Terry Fontenot and Falcons management looked at Drake London and probably said to themselves he could be a great number two option. I'm going to be honest, I don't really follow college football, so you can say that this video is probably going to be for people who don't really follow college football like that. I did look at some highlights, and I'm not going to go off of too much off the highlights because they don't really tell the whole story, but from what I saw, it seems that Drake is very good at finishing in traffic and going up and making plays on the ball. That's really like the one main thing that was displayed in his highlight package. I think that's going to be great, having two big targets like Kyle Pitts and Drake London on the field, possibly posing that threat of there's two playmakers on the field that can go up and impose their will on the defender. So what I decided to do is I went ahead and found Drake London's scouting report. So for the people who don't know who he is, I'm going to give you some insight on what he did in his college career. Drake London was drafted by the Atlanta Falcons when they selected him 8th overall in the 2020 NFL Draft. And like former Falcons pass catcher Tony Gonzalez, was a well-known athlete in both football and basketball. That would explain his leaping ability because he has a basketball background. As a senior at Moore Park High School in the western suburbs of Los Angeles, London racked up a total of 1,089 yards on 62 catches with 12 touchdowns on the gridiron and 29.2 points, 11.9 rebounds, and 3.8 assists per game as a guard on the hardwood. He was named to the first team in his league, county, and area, and also All-State in both sports. But he got the most attention for football, where he was a 4-star prospect according to 24/7 Sports. So when USC, an hour from his home, offered London a football scholarship with a spot on the basketball team, he didn't hesitate. London focused primarily on football and caught a touchdown each of the Trojans' final 5 games of 2019. His freshman year, he did make it on the basketball court, but played 6 minutes over 2 games and missed starting in 2020 and caught 121 passes for 1,586 yards over 14 games. His career at USC came to an unplanned finish when he fractured his ankle the day before Halloween last year. However, he was still named the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year by the Associated Press after racking up over 80 catches and 1,000 yards in 8 games. Age as of week 1, he is 21. He is 6'3" and weighs 219 pounds. He has a comparable body type to Kenny Golladay, beastly size with long, strong arms to go with tough to cover height, quality jumping ability, and strong legs. He would immediately be one of the biggest receivers in the NFL. Experience lining up everywhere, but was especially on the wide left side of the formation in 2021 after playing 92% of his snaps in the slot in 2020. Used hesitations, jump cuts, and stutter steps with the occasional body fake to help him sometimes buy a little space between his body and the defender off the snap. Hitch comeback movements happen quickly, sometimes as soon as 4 snaps, especially for a guy his size. That's thanks to his loose hips. Those routes were among his most run. He was frequently open on them. Solid speed, especially for his size, masterfully got into the blind spot of rival cornerbacks and then quickly turned back to the passer for the target. This was probably his best route. That went longer than 10 yards. Would on occasion employ physicality into his routes to further help him get open without drawing a pass interference call. Room for improvement here, but he's on his way. Regularly use his large body to box out, readjust, and or outreach defenders for targets of any length. Frequently came in handy to end zone targets. Huge catch radius and has the my ball mentality. His height meant he was open even when he wasn't. I really like that one. So him having a basketball background really helped him have success when he was in college. Seemed to have a good concentration, coordination, and awareness. Regularly plucked passes without slowing his route. Frequently recognized oncoming tackler following a catch and lowered his shoulder to absorb the hit. Very good contact balance. Helped him shed tacklers. Fearless. Was very willing to cross the field to catch a pass or deliver a block. never seems shy about absorbing or delivering hits. Solid blocker with potential to be incredible. Described as a homebody and comes off as a low-profile, soft-spoken type of guy. Should be totally committed to football and not the off-field life that comes with it. Now the concerns. Nearly half, 46% of his career receptions were made within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. Some of that had to do with the offense at USC, but he must develop more as at least to be an intermediate target to become as well-rounded of a receiver as possible. His off-snap footwork was well practiced, but a lack of burst into his route often saw cornerbacks stay within an arm's length. Aggressive man coverage NFL cornerbacks will disrupt his timing. Wasn't asked to run a full or overly complex route tree. Could stand to be sharper in his cuts on out, dig, and post routes, except for his hitch comeback technique. He wasn't very sudden in his movements. Average acceleration kept him from outrunning defensive backs. Drew a lot of contact. Big body means big target for defenders to hit. He got blasted frequently and must learn to give himself up more often. Fractured his right ankle on October 30th, 2021, then suffered a mild hamstring pull in early April 2022, delaying his recovery. He should be okay for the start of training camp this summer. Didn't contribute on special teams at all. Okay, so it seems like he has a problem with outrunning defenders and making clean breaks on his routes, which can be a problem, especially if he ever goes against some of the best cornerbacks in the NFL, like a Jalen Ramsey or a Yair Alexander. His stats in 2021, he played 8 games, had 88 receptions, 1,084 yards, averaged 12.3 yards, and had 7 touchdowns. Career total, he played 22 games, had a total of 160 receptions, 2,153 yards, averaged 13.5, and 15 touchdowns. His advanced statistics show that he forced 22 missed tackles, 3.52 yards per route in 2021. He had 19 contested catches in 2021, 5.23 yards after the catch per reception in 2021. He dropped 6.7%, 25th worst among all qualifying receivers. 46% of his career receptions were made within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. 2021 red zone receiving, 23 targets for a 14.103.6 stat line. 2021 deep ball receiving, 20 plus yards through the air, 23 targets for a 15.46.1 stat line. 3.27 yards after catch per reception on targets of 20 plus air yards, 78th among qualifying receivers. NFL comparison: if surrounded by some good teachers, London could quickly develop it beyond just a big physical receiver and turn into someone like Alshon Jeffrey. I wasn't too crazy about Alshon Jeffrey. I mean, he was a big target, but I thought he lacked the ability to separate himself from the defenders. Most remember Jeffrey for his size, his downfield receptions, and his touchdown totals. Jeffrey wasn't necessarily faster than people give him credit for, but rather was crafty about working in open space, which is the part of London's game that needs to be unearthed. It wouldn't be surprising to see London follow Jeffrey's trajectory of being a solid contributor in his first few years before developing into a number 1 alpha. So, reading this scouting report, I would say it's looking like he could be a number 3 or 4 receiver on the team. But of course, this is a scouting report. This isn't something that's set in stone. I'm not saying that he can't improve in his flaws. Hopefully he'll turn out to be a good pick for Atlanta. Hopefully they'll get a pass rusher or some offensive linemen. The draft, we have 2 more days left for the draft, I believe, including today and tomorrow. So we'll see what the Falcons do. Hopefully they'll make some good picks, and hopefully the picks will turn out to be home run hitters. So tell me what you guys think about this pick. Do you love it? Do you hate it? What would you like to see the Falcons do in the 2nd and 3rd rounds? Please like and subscribe for more content like this. I do random topics during the off season, and I do football videos during the NFL season, and some during the off season as well. So please like and subscribe, and that is it. I am out.